Every day, the news reports how much hotter the world is getting on a daily basis. This, they say, is an effect of global warming. Global warming, by definition, is a gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere, generally attributed to the greenhouse effect caused by increased levels of carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons, and other pollutants. Many of us learned in high school that aerosol sprays such as hairsprays and deodorants have adverse effects on the environment. This was due to the fact that they were produced with an active ingredient known as CFC or chlorofluorocarbons. CFCs are known for causing damage to the ozone layer. This led to the official ban on the use of CFCs in the United States. Although CFCs are no longer used, aerosol cans are still not beneficial to the environment as they play a significant role in smog problems and contributing to global warming. CFCs are not the only contributors to this global epidemic, however. Currently, there are wide-scale emissions of greenhouse gases from cars, factories, coal mines, and deforestation. As it stands, there are forest fires in Indonesia, wildfires in California, and wildfires in Brazil's Amazon rainforest. Despite this, researchers at Carbon Brief have put together data that shows that the United States is the largest contributor to global warming based on their cumulative carbon dioxide emission over the years from as far back as 1750. The President of the United States and a few others like him believe that this is not a real phenomenon. The truth is, whether or not you do believe, there is work to be done on our individual parts to ensure the world is suitable and sustainable for living in the years to come.
This Monday, world leaders are going to be gathered here in New York City for the United Nations Climate Action Summit. The eyes of the world will be on them. They have a chance to prove that they, too, are united behind the science. They have a chance to take leadership, to prove they actually hear us.
On today's episode, we're going to be focusing on the current topics of climate change and how people protesting for more awareness of climate change are trying to lobby and say that climate change is something that affects us and something that we should take action.
Hi, welcome to our topic today of global warming and climate change. And while global warming and climate change are not new topics, they have somehow developed a new perspective. And that perspective is that teens and children are now taking on the fight against global warming and climate change, or the effects of it. They're taking to the streets all around the globe and demanding change from their leaders. It seems like a two-sided coin now, because now teens are taking up this mantle and saying that, hey, we need change. But then there's the older generation who are sometimes the ones in power who are saying nothing is happening, there's no global warming, we don't need any change, and we're just going to stay the way we are. So with this two-sided coin, we want to see how there's a mutual ground to move forward and if there will be any changes at all.
Yes, and with that argument, it's clear to say that it's an ongoing issue. It's not clear when it's going to be resolved or if it's ever going to be a possible outcome that everybody agrees on one thing, on what's best for the Earth. But as long as talks are happening, it's a good thing because it shows that there may be a chance that we can at least see from both sides what we can do about global warming and climate change. And with my co-host, Mr. McPherson, we're going to be asking questions based on the topic of climate change and our own opinions. What are your thoughts on climate change and global warming?
That's kind of a difficult topic for me, because while I won't be the one to say yes or no, climate change or global warming is happening, but it's mainly because all the data that we're getting is like, oh, this is the hottest day in the last 30 years, this is the hottest or coldest in the last 30 years or whatever. I haven't been here for that long, so I can't necessarily say yes or no, but I'm going to be open-minded. I think the problem that we're having with global warming or climate change, or for some individuals, maybe that myself, is that it's just a big concept or idea. It's like, oh, sea levels are rising, the ozone layer is being depleted, the world is getting hotter. the ice caps are melting, what can I do about all of that? Seems too big. So if you think about it on an individual or a localized scale, it's like, say for example, plastic. Like, we know that plastic is non-biodegradable. So if I keep using a lot of plastic, or companies keep making a lot of plastic, then eventually it's going to come to the point where humanity and plastic exist in almost equal quantities, or maybe plastic is more. That doesn't sound like a good idea. And if we burn those plastic instead of recycling them, then I know that the air will get worse and my family or myself will be affected, and that's not healthy. So if you think about it in little terms or little ideas, then it's more acceptable and digestible to people. But if it's such a big concept, I can't really do anything about it. I don't want to believe in it. What do you think?
I think global warming, climate change is a real thing that's happening right now, because it's unavoidable to just say that, oh, we're not affecting the earth with everything we do. There's pollution, we're taking resources, and we're just depleting the ozone layer with all of our machines and technological advances that aren't eco-friendly. So at the end of the day, the case of global warming is not really if it's happening, but how bad will the effects be and when will it get worse. So we don't change our economic footprint, environmental footprint now to lessen the effects, then we're going to suffer in the end.
That sounds about right. Ready. How do you envision the future in light of the effects of global warming?
I envision a future with the effects of global warming to be more severe. It's going to get hotter and hotter, or it's going to be colder and colder, and it's going to get to this point where it's going to be such a dangerous, it's going to be so dangerous just to go outside and just try to do regular things, because the environment is just raising its temperature, or just going to such an extreme because of things we've done to it. So if we don't change our ways now, then it's just going to get worse and worse, and that's the only future I see.
That makes sense. And then at that point, having survived this type of climate and moving forward, this is what I envision. So having survived this climate, where they're saying, oh, this is the hottest day in 30 years, this is the coldest day in 30 years. Having survived this and living to the future, we'll be able to realize the difference. And that's when we'll start being like, oh, this is a real thing. But then it will kind of be too late. So keeping that open mind and just changing what you do. Like, you don't have to think about it from a big global warming perspective. Like, for example, last year when I was cleaning out my room, I had so much paper. I made a commitment to myself that I was not going to accept paper in the new year. I mean, that's hard to do. But like, what I try to do now is, like, if I get a flyer, I take a picture of it, or if I get a handout, I take a picture of it. So that way I don't have to keep all that paper in my room and I return it to whoever gave it to me. While I might not be necessarily thinking about global warming or climate change, I'm helping in a bit of a way. And even though I'm not stopping the making of paper, I'm stopping me having it and throwing it out. And the less paper I accept, the less paper people accept, the more people will be pushed to electronic mediums to share their information, and that will help climate change in a way. So it's not about believing that, oh, it's happening or not happening. It's about doing little things for your personal self that will affect the world in a better way.
If these teen and children protesters are to affect any change, what would that be?
Alright. So seeing that they're teens and children, the change that I see them affecting is they're the ones who are actually going to live in the world in the next 20, 30 years. Whomever are in power and old and don't believe in climate change, sorry to say, they're going to die. They're going to not exist at that time, some of them. So for teens and children to be taking up the fight and saying, okay, we want change, they should be making the change. And if they're making the change, then we're going to get a better outcome, because they're going to be here longer. Even if these old people don't die in 20 years, teens having changed, like for example, me not using paper, that would have lessened paper in the world, at least by a fraction. and that way we can impact the world at least by a fraction. So whatever little change these teens and children are making, it can be beneficial in the end, especially in fighting global warming.
Okay. These teen and children protesters are the new generation from the millennials and Gen X, and they're the ones who are going to be in charge of the future. So it makes sense that they want to start at such a young age to take the preventative measures to make sure our environment is stable for us to live in the future. And it doesn't make sense that the older generations can't see the value in wanting to protect the future, even if they're not going to be here to see it. So if somebody has to take charge for our future, it makes sense that we be the ones.
What can you personally do to help with the fight against climate change?
Personally, I can do my best to leave as less of a environmental footprint as I can. I can take less papers, I can take less trash that can end up in landfills, do my best to put them in the right recycling places and add those preventative measures so that we're not taking as much resources from the earth. I could, walk more instead of riding in cars or buses, find less ways to add to the pollution that's in the air. I can do better with just how I choose my resources, how I want to take from the earth. So I can just choose to take less from the earth and add more to it. I can also bring more awareness by telling any people that I know things that they can do to help keep the earth clean and keep it less polluted. And I can also do bigger things like get in touch with my congressmen or representatives in my local government and do better to, get them more aware, because I want them to serve me the best way they can.
Well, personally, I think I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I'll just keep taking less paper. I don't burn things. I don't think I'm contributing to climate change, global warming. Honestly, maybe there are some things that I can do more. But until I recognize those things, I understand what you're saying, but in reality, I'm not gonna write to no congressperson. I'm sorry. First of all, I don't even live here. But I understand all of this, but I think I'm already doing what I personally can, taking less paper. I don't use plastic. I do use plastic. I use a lot of bags. But I use a water bottle instead of just getting, I'm lying. Oh my God, there's so much I can do. Okay, I can probably stop buying water bottles. I can continue to take less paper. I don't burn stuff, but I can lessen my garbage output. Maybe stuff that I know that are going to be burned or going to just be adding to the pollution, I can probably lessen consuming those. So there's quite a few things that I can do to personally help with the fight, but it's just about going back to the drawing board and having that open mind and deciding that, okay, this is a real thing and I need to definitely put measures in place. But there's some tiny things that I can do on an individual or localized environment, and I think I will be going back to figuring out what those things are and how I'll do it.
Sounds good. Do as much as you can, no matter how small it is. Alright, what do you think we can hope to achieve from the climate change summit happening all day on Monday, 23rd of September in New York?
Alright, so these are the people that I want to be thinking about climate change and global warming in the grand scheme of things, because they are the people who are able to effect real change. These people meeting are over 60 world leaders, and they are in charge of nations or countries. Some of them are even in charge of just states. But when you go back to your nation, your country, your state, and you put into place laws that have to be followed or you will be penalized, I think that is a way in which we can get people to really join the cause and start thinking about the world as they really should think of it, as a place where we need to live in the next couple of years. So going back home, Mr. World Leader, Mistress World Leader, and saying, okay, for companies that make over 200 plastic items per year, you will be fined this, or you will be put out of operation. Okay, for people who litter or burn or contribute to this effect in any way, how you know they can change, like anything you know they can do to change, stop burning, carpooling, just put little laws in place where individual people are like, okay, I've been charged with this, so let me be the global citizen that I am and make this change.
Yeah, it's just all about these leaders taking initiative to get things done that they want to see happen. Like, these people are the ones who are in charge now, so they want to have a cleaner world. They need to understand that they have the power to do so, and it should be their top priority to serve their citizens and look toward the future. So in conclusion, it's important to know that the talks on climate change have been going on for years. They possibly will continue to go on, but as long as there's conversation happening about its effects and what we can do to stop it, I think that's the important part. You can do your best to lessen your environmental footprint just by, just recycling, taking less plastic, stopping pollution or littering when you see it, and also you can take up to contacting your local congressman or your local form of government to say that you want changes happening wherever you are. At the end of the day, this is our planet, and we have to do what it takes to keep it in a stable condition so that we can live on for ourselves and our future generations. So it all starts with us and you.
And if you're not one of the people who believe that climate change or global warming is happening, there's nothing wrong with that. Just know that you can look around in your little environment where you are, and if there's anything that you see that is unhealthy to you and your family, like pollution or burning, like littering or burning, then you can do something to change that for you and not necessarily for global warming or climate change. Thanks for watching. See you next time.